live in the studio with 1 million cups. You hope you are listening to us either on FM or AM, but you also can check us out on Facebook Live and Twitter Live. And today we have Frank Jones here, who's the sales engineer for Memex, which is the developer of Merlin, an award-winning IIoT technology platform. So he's going to tell us a little bit about his company and give us some background on his business.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Crystal. Good morning, everyone. Thanks to WJOB for hosting. And what I want to talk to you about is welcome to the fourth industrial revolution. My name is Frank Jones. I'm with Memex. We are a machine monitoring company, and I have 30 years industrial sales experience. And what we're going to do is talk just briefly about what the IIoT means to you, how that fits into a lean culture, and how this is ultimately the future of our manufacturing sector. These are all the business challenges that we're all dealing with on a day-to-day basis. How do we get more visibility of our shop floor? How do we get our assets optimization to be done? You're spending, a lot of times people are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on these pieces of equipment. How are you going to get the most out of that money for an ROI payback? Number two is, how do you get this to be a lean culture? How do we get to an extension of a lean culture or a start of a lean culture based on what the IIoT can bring to our table here? Cisco has published a number of pieces of information, and this is the size market we're looking at, $16 to $19 trillion business that's going to improve manufacturing, that's going to connect the factory. The hunt for big data is now on, and the fourth industrial revolution, as I said, is already well underway. How do we go about doing that? Where does this come from? There's 9 operational areas in a plant that you can address. There are 16 to 58% opportunity improvements, which that means is looking at both process flow, ultimately getting product out the door on a more timely basis, and also improving machine utilization. The calculations for OEE, overall equipment effectiveness, are very simple, but the numbers are astounding. It doesn't take very much to increase productivity, very little bit, by tracking the data and ultimately providing sourcing inside the plant. All this is really about one thing. It's about visibility. How do we be able to see what's going on in your shop floor, your processing plant? You have gut feelings, there are things that are going on, but you don't have the data to back up making decisions that are going to help you manage your business more effectively. That's what we're trying to deliver. How do we do that, and where does this come from? As you can see, it's never one thing in a manufacturing floor that drives savings. It's a variety of things. And when you talk about 2 or 3, even 1% improvement in OE improvement, just to give you an idea what that is in terms of scope. If you have 10 pieces of equipment and you run that and you were able to find 1 minute per hour per shift in savings, that's, in other words, this time that's not being well spent, that's a 3% OE improvement. That's $30,000 to your bottom line. That doesn't include if you actually stick more product and fill that with more production on that particular minute. So we start talking 4, 5, 6%. You're talking a huge number of dollars, and you can see how the ROI can be very impressive in terms of bringing back the cost savings into your plant. We're a leader in our market. We're a global company. We've been at this for about 25 years. Our process, Merlin, or Tempest is our new product, is a toolkit right out of the box. When you talk in computer business, what happens is anytime you use the word customization, people immediately know that that's more work to be done and it's more cost. Ours is a ready-to-go toolkit right out of the box. We're partners with Mazak, Cisco. We're also partners with Akuma, Makino. And what's happening is the IIoT in the manufacturing world is driving this to get us to the ultimate payback of 4 months at 300% internal rate of return. That's very significant in our business. How do we do this from our standpoint? Is we're able to vertically integrate our business. We're going to take your ERP, MRP system, Kanban system, connect on the shop floor, push the data down the shop floor with the work orders and product standards. When we finish that work, push that information back up in the system so that you have vertical visibility and integrated system to be able to see what's going on in the manufacturing shop floor. What's our proposition basically? As I said earlier, 1% to 50% average productivity increase. Every 1% productivity increase means 2% to the bottom line. That gives you an internal rate of return of about 300%, which is about 4 months. And we also, as Crystal mentioned earlier, we don't leave any machine behind. Most people still have legacy pieces of equipment in their shop floor, things that are 20, 30 years old. We're able to connect to that and provide the data from those machines just like a brand new piece of equipment. Why would you act now? If you have an IRR of basically 300%, why would you wait? If you know you can get a 10% bump on productivity, which is typically what our customers see, that translates into some large money. Visibility for a shop floor. This is the data-driven manufacturing world we live in. You want to be able to have your operators, your engineers, your stakeholders, and the C-level to be able to see all this data in one particular shot. Thank you. I want to get short and sweet, so thank you.
So at this point, we'll take questions from the floor. We also can take calls into the studio at 219-845-1100. So we welcome any type of questions, input that you may have on the presentation. We also would like to thank our two sponsors here today, Coffee Cabin and Nana Sweets. I know someone has a question. No one? For this to be a big manufacturing area, come on up to the mic.
Already did? Okay. Very nice presentation, Frank. Common question I get asked is a member of the manufacturing community. How do you handle legacy equipment? Could you walk us through a little bit of Memex's thought process around that and how it works with legacy equipment?
Absolutely. So we are a hardware company as addition to a software company. So the legacy piece of equipment I just spoke about is we actually produce a hardware board that will connect into the legacy piece of equipment through the controller, pull digital signals out so we can connect that ultimately to a protocol like MT Connect or FANUC Focus, and ultimately we'll read that data standpoint just the same way we would look at a brand new piece of equipment. So at the end of the day, we have a commonized platform for the data to be delivered into our system, so they're all reading the exact same way. MT Connect, if you're not familiar with the term, is basically Bluetooth for machine tools. That's the best way I can describe it. You have Bluetooth, you have a common platform to consume a bunch of different pieces of data, right?
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Yes, I think that's really great especially for this area where we have a number of different
most people do
manufacturing companies in the area. So for companies that are smaller, are you able to provide the same services, or do you work with companies that may be at the startup level to be able to gain that data from the beginning all the way through?
It's both large companies and small. It really gets back to what I said earlier. Whether you have 10 pieces of equipment, I'm not just talking about a manufacturing factory, a processing company, an assembly type operation still falls in the same boat. The issue is all about visibility. If you're walking out on the shop floor and you have to go around to each and every asset of your plant and say, how are we doing? Because you can't see that data in real time, that's what the issue is. It can be 10 machines, it could be 100, it could be 1,000. As soon as that visibility starts to drift, that's when you need to be able to understand what's going on. And that's where we come in.
Awesome. Any other questions from the audience?
What would you say is the most common piece of feedback that you get back from your clients or customers?
In terms of?
In terms of
before?
Like before and after comparison sort of thing. And like they didn't believe, they didn't really think something was going to work the way it did work, or there's like a surprise factor of convenience for them. What are you hearing most from your customers?
Well, I think before, this is typically not a situation where people say, I don't want to do this. It's usually, we're not going to do it right now, or we don't have budget for it right now. Maybe we're going to look at this a year from now or whatever. That's typically the response. Afterwards, it's typical that the engagement with the operators, the people that are on the shop floor, now are engaged in the process. You're improving the process in the plant. They're part of the process, so we want to make them part of the process. Our software is not Big Brother watching over the plant. This is to engage them because there are resources that we want to be able to push through. So a lot of our customers will tell us, we now have a fully engaged factory. We have people who are proactive and seeing what the data can do to drive the business. Because the idea at the end of the day here is to keep these jobs here, not go overseas and produce and bring back outsourced work. That's two of our main drivers for what we do. Sorry.
That's great. Great presentation. Just wondering, what can the 1 Million Cups community do to help you out with your journey?
Well, anybody that can certainly spread the word or get out, or if you're working at a factory like this, is something that's certainly to bring up. There's a lot of opportunities to do this. It usually takes several months to kind of get through the whole project and understand what it's going to be, but it's a worthwhile venture. And the companies that we've worked with are seeing value out of this, true value, and it's making a connected factory. And as I said, this is the future of our business. And so it's not a matter of if you're going to do this or not. And the other thing I want to mention is that Modern Machine Shop published an article last year at IMTS, which is the big manufacturing show in Chicago you may be familiar with. And 77% of the companies said they plan to use IoT, which is what we're talking about, in the calendar year 2017, 2018. So the point is, if you're out there thinking about this, your competition's also thinking about this and is probably already engaged in it because you got 3 out of 4 companies looking at it statistically. Okay.
All right. So we'd like to thank Frank and give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Thanks for hosting. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming out. We want you all to stay tuned because we do have another presentation. We'll take a quick break, but we want you to make sure that you stay tuned into WJLB so you can hear more from 1 Million Cups.